Hello and welcome. I'm Geeta Mohan and you're watching India Today Global. For the last few weeks, we've kept our focus on Bangladesh, and that stays. In just 1 week, 2 Hindu men have been lynched in Bangladesh, 2 lives brutally erased, not in a war zone, not in chaos, but in plain sight. First, it was Deepu Chandradas and now Amrit Mondal. On the 24th of December around 11 p.m., 30-year-old Amrit was lynched by a mob in Rajbari district of Bangladesh. Several protests erupted in India demanding justice for Bangladeshi Hindus. Ministry of External Affairs expressed grave concern over unremitting hostility against minorities in the neighboring country. How many more deaths will it take for UNIS government before this is called what it is, a targeted violence against a religious minority? Here's a detailed report.
Another Hindu lynched in Bangladesh. 30-year-old Amrit Mondal was beaten to death by a group of villagers in Rajbari district on December 24th. The local police claimed that the attack was not communal and accused Amrit Mondal of extortion. This is the second such incident in just a week, where a Hindu has been brutally murdered by mobs in Bangladesh. On December 18th, 27-year-old Deepu Chandradas was thrashed to death. His body was tied to a tree and set ablaze. Former Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina condemned atrocities on Hindus and lashed out at the Muhammad Yunus government. Protests broke out in India condemning the crimes against Hindus in Bangladesh.
Well, after Deepu Das killed in Bangladesh and several atrocities on Hindus in Bangladesh, right now the Vishwa Hindu Parishad as well as Hindu Shanghati and other Hindu organizations are on the streets of Kolkata, hitting the streets of Kolkata towards the Bangladesh High Commission office and towards the Bangladesh Embassy in Kolkata.
यहाँ का सरकार बांग्लादेशी अत्याचारी को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए 1000 पुलिस लेकर कितना बना दिया, पूरा रास्ता को तोड़ के क्या कर दिया देख लीजिए। 100 करोड़ हिंदू नहीं सहन करेगा, हिंदुस्तान का हिंदू नहीं करेगा, मुंह तोड़ जवाब होगा।
Actor Janvi Kapoor termed lynching of Hindus in Bangladesh barbaric and slammed the hypocrites for speaking out over Gaza and ignoring Bangladeshi Hindus. Actors Kajal Agarwal and Jayaprada also spoke out, calling the incidents an embarrassment to humanity. The Ministry of External Affairs expressed concern over attacks on Hindus and urged UNIS government to punish the perpetrators.
The unremitting hostility against minorities in Bangladesh, including Hindus, Christians, and Buddhists, at the hands of extremists, is a matter of grave concern. We condemn the recent gruesome killing of a Hindu youth in Singh and expect that the perpetrators of the crime would be brought to justice.
Since August 2024, when mass protests forced then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to quit and flee to India, Hindus have been suffering in Bangladesh. Over the next 1 year, at least 55 Hindus were murdered and 192 temples attacked. With Ashutosh Mishra and Anirban Sinha Roy, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining me now is Sushant Dasgupta. He's a political activist. He is right now based out of London, the United Kingdom. Mr. Gupta, thank you so much for joining me. We are looking at a very, very severe situation in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, in fact. What's your reading on what's going to happen now after the BNP chairman has landed in Dhaka?
Thank you very much for calling me in the studio. There would be no change after Tareq Rahman landed in Dhaka. You can see Tareq Rahman already talk about Hadi killing, but he did not have any single word regarding the killing of Deepu Chandradas. So it is a clear message from Tareq Rahman that he has the same standing as the illegal government he knows as. So I don't see any change would be there immediately. So that would be exactly the same, because Tareq Rahman and the illegal government Yunus maintains the same value, same ideology. So ultimately, Hindu will be suffering exactly as the same. There would be no change.
Right. Sushant, also the fact that we are looking at an administration over here that came, even if it's interim, with the promise of change and democracy. But we're looking at minorities being repressed. We're looking at persecution of minorities, something that at least Sheikh Hasina did not allow when she was around. But the international community has gone quiet. They're not raising the kind of voices they did when Sheikh Hasina was in Dhaka.
Let me tell you one clear thing. The illegal Yunus government has the mission to kill Hindus, or to afraid Hindus, so that the Hindus will flee to India. We already know about 2 killings for last 1 week, but if we get the real calculation, there are 12 killings for last 22 days. 12 killing for last 22 days. But
Okay.
the killing of Deepu Chandradas got extreme attention because he was set ablaze live, which is very, very, very unfortunate in the modern world. It cannot be accepted. But if we see about Philistine, people talking about Philistine all around the world, but why the world leaders and all other people in the world don't talk about Hindu killing in Bangladesh, especially Deepu killing is extremely, extremely worse in any kind of situation. So that is very unfortunate.
Right. Sushant, are you in touch with the minority community back home, back in Dhaka? And how real is that fear and the thought of leaving Bangladesh?
Uh, I am very much connected with the minority communities in Bangladesh, and they are extremely living in fear since Sheikh Hasina left Bangladesh. And after Sheikh Hasina left Bangladesh, Hindus living like like in the hell. Every day, every morning, every night, they are in fearing of being killed anytime. And you can see the example how Hindus are being treated in Bangladesh. So nobody even sleep in the night, thinking that he can see the morning. So every night is a hell for them. They don't expect they can see a morning in the next day.
Well, we've seen some serious condemnation by Yunus government, but also Mohammed Yunus, while condemning, talked about Hadi and focused on Hadi more than the fact that minorities in his country are being persecuted. Going from here on, even if elections are held, and when elections are held, what future do you see for minorities in Bangladesh?
Minority will be facing worse than it is now, because if there is election without Awami League, Jamaat or BNP will be in the power. And Jamaat or BNP, they carry the same ideology. They carry the pro-Pakistani ideology. So you can understand, you can imagine how Hindu would be living in Bangladesh when they will be in power politically or democratically, or when they will be in power by vote, they would feel that they have got extreme power. They can do anything. So
Right.
the situation is worse than what it is now.
Okay, worse than what it is now. It does seem like situation has been quite dire. The Ministry of External Affairs in the press briefing today very clearly said, Sushant, that it's not just about the killings, it's also about the violence, and the incidents of violence that they have recorded is about 2,900 cases of these incidents against minorities in Bangladesh. How is Yunus government going to tackle this? And secondly, how are they going to really not just take responsibility, but respond to the international community should and when they start asking questions? Sushant Das Gupta, thank you so much for joining us for now.
Thank you.
Now, shifting focus to Canada, negligence at a hospital in Canada has claimed the life of an Indian origin man. 44-year-old Prashant died of cardiac arrest in Edmonton after complaining of severe chest pain and waiting for at least 8 hours to receive treatment. In another shocker, an Indian student was shot dead near the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. These incidents have raised serious concerns. Here is a report.
In the triage, complaining of constant chest pain.
Medical negligence.
Constantly kept on rising with the last recorded blood pressure of 210.
Dereliction of duty.
Inside, he was only prescribed Tylenol.
And a life lost.
Time that he was outside.
On December 22nd, Prashant Shrikumar, a Canadian of Indian origin living in Edmonton, complained of severe chest pain while at work. He was rushed to the Grey Nuns Hospital within 20 minutes. There he was made to wait 8 hours before he was given any treatment. Prashant told his father that he could not bear the pain. He also conveyed the same to hospital staff, stressing that his pain level was 15 on a scale of 10.
Monday, December 22nd.
Yet all that he reportedly got was some Tylenol. He was told there was nothing of significance in the ECG report. The delay ultimately cost him his life. His wife shared the ordeal.
So Prashant Shrikumar complained of acute chest pain at 12 o'clock noon, and he was brought to Grey Nuns Hospital by 12:15, 12:20. He was sitting in the triage from 12:20 onward till about, I would say, 8:50 on. His BP constantly kept on rising with the last recorded blood pressure of 210, and he was not given help. They said that chest pain is not considered acute.
Prashant is survived by his wife and 3 children. Canadian journalists came down heavily on the country's poor health infrastructure.
We did not increase capacity in the medical field. The only people we added into the medical field in the last 10 years are bureaucrats to pretend we're adding more medical fields. So we've just made the problem even worse by swamping a giant bureaucracy onto a mass problem. So that's why people are dying in hospitals.
The challenge is mainly in the emergency room, where it is overcrowded, and you have to wait 10, 12, sometimes 14, 16 hours. And in the meantime, if people have this kind of real emergency or acute problem, they have to face these kind of consequences.
Another shocker from Canada. Indian student Shivank Avasthi was shot dead near the University of Toronto Scarborough campus. The authorities are probing the case as a homicide. The Indian embassy expressed grief over the incident. The embassy says all necessary assistance is being provided to the victim's family.
We are in touch with his family. It's very unfortunate. We've conveyed our deepest condolences. We are also in touch with local authorities as to what the circumstances, etc., that led to the death. We'll come to know of those details more, but we are in touch with local authorities in the matter.
The threat to people of Indian origin living in Canada has increased over the last few years, according to journalists.
Are things getting a little bit more uncomfortable socially in Canada, especially as it goes for immigrants, particularly Indians? Yes. There's a rising culture of, anti-Indian sentiment being pushed by a lot of different factors, some of them you're familiar with in India.
Canada, which is home to a large Indian origin population, has witnessed several such incidents of discrimination and violence lately, raising serious concerns. With Pranay Upadhyay, Bureau Report, India Today.
In another case of hate-motivated offense towards Indians in Canada, Toronto police is looking for a woman who is wanted in a suspected hate-motivated mischief investigation. That's the photo of the woman. The Toronto police released that image of the suspect and has requested the public to help them in nabbing this woman. The Toronto police posted on their website, and I quote, between Thursday, July 3rd, 2025 and Sunday, December 21st, 2025, officers responded to numerous calls for reports of graffiti at various TTC stations. The suspect went to the stations and vandalized property by writing anti-Indian messages within the stations and the subway cars. This investigation is being treated as a suspected hate-motivated offense. In a big story, The US has launched airstrikes against ISIS targets in Nigeria, coming amid heightened global terror alerts during the Christmas period. The strikes follow Turkey's detention of suspected ISIS operatives allegedly plotting holiday attacks, underscoring renewed international action against the terror group. Here's a report.
A day after Turkey detained 115 suspected members of the ISIS in coordinated raids across the country over alleged plots linked to Christmas and New Year celebrations, the US launched strikes against the militant group in northwestern Nigeria. In a post, President Donald Trump wrote that he had directed the US military to launch a deadly strike against ISIS terrorists in northwest Nigeria, who were targeting Christians. He also wished the US military and the dead terrorist Merry Christmas. The US military targeted camps run by the group in Sokoto state, which lies in Nigeria's border, Niger. The attack also comes after Trump posted in November that he would go into Nigeria guns blazing. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth also warned that there is more to come. He also thanked the Nigerian government for its support and cooperation. The Nigerian Foreign Ministry confirmed of the coordinated attacks. Nigerian president in a statement on Christmas Day vowed to protect the religious freedom. On December 24th, 5 worshippers were killed and 35 others injured when a suspected suicide bomber detonated an explosive inside mosque during evening prayers. A day earlier, Turkey detained 150 suspected members who, according to investigators, were planning to carry out attacks on Christmas and New Year celebrations in the country. Their target in particular were non-Muslims. The Nigerian government has been fighting terror networks, including Boko Haram and IS-linked splinter groups for years now. In early December, around 100 school children who were abducted from a Nigerian Catholic school were released. At least 303 school children were kidnapped, along with 12 of their teachers, when gunmen attacked St. Mary's Catholic School on November 21st. It was the third mass abduction in northern Nigeria in the space of a few days, with another school and a church also targeted. The largest IS-linked group in Nigeria, Islamic State West Africa Province, operates in the northeast of the country. The goal of the terror outfit is to establish Islamic State governed by its strict interpretation of Sharia across Nigeria and neighboring countries. With Mahashweta Lala, Bureau Report, India Today.
US President Donald Trump's tariffs were meant to hurt Indian exports by squeezing access to American markets. But one Indian superfood is telling a very different story. As makhana prices surge in the US, India is quietly finding new buyers worldwide. So how did tariffs backfire? Here's a report by Jyoti Shukla.
When Donald Trump slapped steep tariffs on Indian goods, the idea was simple: make imports expensive, protect American markets, and squeeze exporters. But when it comes to one Indian superfood, that strategy may be backfiring. Meet makhana or fox nuts. Trump's administration first imposed a 25% tariff on Indian goods and later raised it to 50%, citing India's imports of Russian oil. The impact was immediate in the United States. Prices of everyday Indian staples shot up, including fox nuts, a favorite healthy snack among the Indian diaspora. In the United States, a small pack of makhana that once cost $2 now costs nearly $4. Exporters saw sales to America drop by as much as 40%. But here's the twist. Instead of collapsing, India's foxnut industry is quietly pivoting and winning. India already dominates nearly 90% of the global foxnut production, with Bihar at its heart. Around 1.5 lakh farmers depend on it for their livelihoods. And while the US has traditionally absorbed half of India's foxnut exports, producers are now eyeing new markets. Spain, South Africa, Germany, China, and West Asia. Driven by health awareness and the Indian diaspora, demand for makhana is spreading beyond America. Exporters say the superfood market overseas was always limited and undermarketed. Trump's tariffs simply forced India to look elsewhere. At home, the story is even stronger. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, domestic demand for makhana has been doubling almost every year. Once a traditional snack pushed aside by processed foods, fox nuts are now back on the supermarket shelves, roasted, flavored, and marketed as a clean, high-protein alternative. Entrepreneurs are cashing in. Farmers are switching crops because returns are higher. Laborers earn more collecting fox nuts than in most unskilled jobs. And farmers today earn more than 5 times what they did just over a decade ago. The Indian government has stepped in too, announcing a dedicated makhana board to strengthen the value chain, improve quality, and boost exports. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi had publicly pitched makhana as India's next global superfood. So while Trump's tariffs may have dented exports to the US in the short term, they've also accelerated something bigger: diversification. India is no longer dependent on a single market. Makhana is finding new consumers, new countries, and new confidence. And in the long run, that may be the real takeaway. Trade barriers can slow demand, but they cannot stop a product whose time has come. With Jyoti Shukla, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
The Russian Defense Ministry said its Tu-95MS strategic bombers and missile carriers completed a scheduled flight mission over neutral waters in the Barents and Norwegian seas on Thursday. The flight lasted more than 7 hours, and the Russian Navy's Su-33 fighter jet crew escorted the strategic bombers. The ministry also said that during some stages of the flight, foreign fighter jets accompanied the Russian strategic bombers. The Polish military said on the same day that its air defense forces intercepted a Russian reconnaissance aircraft over the Baltic Sea when it was flying near Polish airspace. The military also tracked unknown objects flying in the direction of Poland from Belarus, prompting Warsaw to temporarily close civilian airspace in the northeast of the country. Smuggler balloons from Belarus have posed constant threat to Lithuania. Lithuania said the balloons are sent by smugglers to transport cigarettes and is a hybrid attack by Belarus, though Belarus has denied any hybrid attacks. Let's take a look at some other stories from across the world in World at a Glance.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said he will meet US President Donald Trump in Florida on Sunday. He expressed hope in his tweet that a lot could be decided before the new year as Washington pushes diplomatic efforts to end the war with Russia. Zelensky has said that sensitive issues, including any compromises on territory, should be discussed at the level of heads of state, and Kyiv has been seeking a face-to-face meeting with Trump. He also held talks with Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner on Thursday. The Israeli military has released footage that show tunnel networks used by Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The army said it dismantled more than 4 kilometers of underground tunnel routes in northern Gaza. The military added in a statement that tunnels were used by the Hamas terrorist organization for terror activities, operating against Israeli forces. Former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak was found guilty of abuse of power in a multi-dollar 1MDB scandal. The judge had yet to deliver the full verdict and sentencing. Malaysia and US investigators say at least $4.5 billion was stolen from One Malaysia Development Berhad, a state fund Najib co-founded in 2009 while in office. Thailand's defense minister will join ongoing talks with Cambodia on Saturday that could lead to a truce as the border clashes between the two Southeast Asian neighbors continued for a third week. If an agreement is reached, the two countries will make a peace in line with the previous pact brokered with the help of US President Donald Trump. Shortly after coming to power, the Taliban regime ordered all cinemas to stop operating. Kabul's Ariana cinema was demolished. which first opened to moviegoers in the early 1960s. Taliban has imposed a harsh interpretation of Islamic law, which has introduced a raft of restrictions, including bans on most forms of entertainment such as films and music.
That's all in this edition of India Today Global. But before I go, in Ayodhya, a bronze statue of Korean Queen Hyo Wang-ok was or has been unveiled. This was in honor of the people who think they descended from her. In South Korea, it is believed that Ayodhya is the birthplace of Princess Suriratna. As per their belief, she sailed to Korea around 48 AD and married King Kim Suro. He was the founder of the ancient Gaya kingdom. In 2001, a memorial dedicated to Queen Hyo Wang-ok was established. With that, it's goodbye from me.